at Tuskegee, there are many reasons I saw to get involved. However, I guess one of the most blatant experiences that I've had is to go to Tuskegee and find out that the NAACP was barred from the state of Alabama. You know, at that time, Southern jurists, judges could find a number of ways to support the laws of segregation. So the NAACP, as you know, was the prime reason of Brown versus the Board of Education. Right. NAACP lawyers. So the Segregation Now, Segregation Forever by George Wallace just caused people to move aggressively, you know, against the NAACP. If you had an NAACP, you card, you know, if you pulled it out and showed it to somebody, you had the audacity to let people know that you're not going to take a lot of stuff, see. Right. So, but Alabama barred, disenfranchised NAACP, so that we had the Tuskegee Civic Association. The late Dr. Charles Gomillion, a sociologist there, he gave Alabama a lot to think about. You're aboard the NAACP, but black people are not going away. We're here, and we're going to demand in whatever way we can to let you know that we intend to have our rights. So, having been in that environment for some 4 years and participated with the Tuskegee Civic Association, when I left Alabama and went to Illinois as a veterinarian to work with the federal government, I'm a prime candidate to get my membership. Right. So I was moving at that time on about as many fronts as being in my profession would allow me to do. So I found myself on quite a few, you know, fronts as civil rights. There were so many things you couldn't do to answer your question. What was your prime reason for civil rights? You know, you can't do this. You can't get a drink of water. You can't use the toilet. Right. You know, and West Tennessee at that time, you can't even register to vote. You can't register to vote. We're haven't registered, so you know you can't vote. You can't register to vote. So those kinds of do nots cause a lot of us, including myself, to do some of the things we did in terms of trying to right some wrongs.
How did your involvement continue with the NAACP after you moved to Illinois? Did they have NAACP chapters there?
Well, there had been a branch of the NAACP in Randolph County. I'm told, I never saw any records of that, but I knew some people who were supposedly a part of that. But when the Supreme Court decision came down in 1954, some of the teachers who were involved, they were intimidated to the point that they just let it die out. So when I went there in 1960, then there was no NAACP, and there were obvious needs for a branch. Right. So it would take a Giles County, as the Lord would have it, right. to deal with that. You know, I get to be in the company of a lot of folk, and accommodation was denied. And after all, this is the land of Lincoln.
Right.
the great emancipator. And yet, you can't go and get a sandwich in the restaurant. And I'm talking about 1960, 6 years after the Supreme Court decision came down to desegregate public schools. And here we are still at a snail pace as relates to just things that other people just take for granted. Getting a haircut, getting a sandwich, getting a drink of water. They didn't have the colored and white water fountain there, but everything was so rigid until it might well have been.